we're streaming. And
You see that Mixer site they were talking about?
yeah.
It's like Twitch, but it's got stuff, and it's not as popular, obviously.
Yeah.
But it does interactive bits, which seem cool.
If we were gonna do that game show idea, which I'm still not like putting any effort into. I didn't even like really set up the call-in show. I'll do that at some point. I just haven't bothered yet. All right. Do. It's Wednesday, April 17th, 2019. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek
Why did you
Nights.
start the show? I'm yawning.
You can start over. Poor Scott. R.I.P. Scott. He tired.
Yawn, start show.
We weren't up that late. It's Wednesday, April 17th, 2019. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, we have our final full thoughts of Adventure Time. So yesterday, we finally went, me, Scott, and Judith, who was recently on Geek Nights, to go see Us. Because I generally I
see Us all the time.
I don't see.
I see Us right now.
I don't see a lot of horror movies in the theater because
There's not a lot of them.
Well, also I don't tend to see a lot of movies in the theater. The movie has to be like an A+ important movie, or has to have some reason for me to see it in the theater, as opposed to just seeing it via the high seas or Netflix later. But horror movies are few and far between, unless you count really, really shitty horror movies. So Us is 100% worth seeing. It's a legit horror movie. It's good. And we saw it last night. And the only thing I got to say without getting into a review of it is that when you live in New York City and you see a spooky movie, the walk home is very not spooky compared to the travel home in any other place. Like, I remember as a kid, we'd see a horror movie, and then there was, like, the quiet drive through the dark roads home, and then the house is all dark, and you lock all the doors. It's hard to think about spooky stuff in New York when there's just, like, a bunch of people in the street everywhere, and it doesn't actually ever get dark because of the light pollution, and there's just, like, stuff going on everywhere, and you get to an apartment that has a doorman and, like, one door that's the only way into the apartment.
Yeah, I mean, try to make a horror movie that takes place in New York City that's actually scary. Is
Yeah.
why all horror movies.
Wait, I got one. So you get on a subway train.
Yeah.
You realize it's the hobo car. The doors lock.
This is why horror movies
And then the power goes out.
usually start, including the one we just saw, Us, with people
Leaving the city.
going somewhere
Yep.
remote and out of touch, right? And like, one of the best horror movies ever, maybe the best, John Carpenter's The Thing. They go to Antarctica.
Yep.
And it's like, now it's horrifying.
Because, like, when you're a kid and you're in your house, you'll hear, like, a creak in the distance, or, like, something taps on the window, or there's a noise outside. In New York, it's just like, 7 train went by again.
Yeah.
There are literally millions of people within, like, a quarter-mile radius of me.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a ghost, that ghost is waiting in line. So, you got any news?
I do have some news. So, Initial D is a thing.
Bom, bom, bom.
Right? It is a thing that started out as a manga and that was adapted into anime and video games. The arcade video games are very good. Maybe those are the best Initial D thing there is.
Yeah.
The
Every Initial D arcade game is just better than the last one.
anime is not good, but I like it anyway.
The
But
anime is good at being something I like.
the anime gets worse over time. So the very first season is the best, and as it gets newer and newer later seasons and movies, and as you go on deeper,
Dumber and dumber and dumber.
it gets better animation by some measures.
Yeah.
of
The
better,
cars look better.
kind of.
Yeah.
But it just gets worse. Just watch the first 26 episodes of Initial D if you're going to watch any, which
Well, especially because
maybe you shouldn't.
The 26th episode of the original Initial D just ends on like this sort of poignant moment, and a character had an arc, and it's like a real story. And after that, it's just like, Project D, we're still racing cars on this mountain for some reason.
Yeah, anyway. And then there is the manga, the original thing, which is poorly drawn,
Except for the cars.
poorly written,
Yeah.
when it was released in America originally, I bought every volume the Tokyo Pop put out.
I kept reading it. Scott would buy it. He'd read it. He'd put it in a pile. I would pick it up off that pile, and I would read it.
They put out all the volumes. They renamed some of the characters,
Tak.
which people got really mad about, rightfully
Iggy and
so.
Tak.
Yes. Instead of Itsuki and Takumi. They were just
God damn it,
anyway.
Tokyo Pop.
And they made some other modifications that, whatever. But they only put out, I think, 30-something volumes. Basically, I think there were 4 or 5 volumes they didn't put out. They just stopped. I bought all of them and then got rid of all of them.
I just can't imagine what could have happened.
Anyway, if you are the kind of person who wants to read the Initial D manga, I believe this is not the Tokyo Pop translation.
Thanks, Satan.
I believe it's not. I can't imagine it would be because it's being put out by...
Wait. No, I think it is because from the article, Comixology describes the stories. This is quoting Comixology. Tak Fujiwara spends his time.
All right, maybe. Maybe it is the same translation, but it's being not put out by Tokyo Pop. But it's now available not in physical print anymore. It is now digitally available, including all the volumes right up to the end are now. So the part that I could never read before because it was never available before is now digitally available in the United States on Comixology and all associated digital platforms.
I guess if you really got to find out if he ever loses a race other than that one race.
The one where his engine exploded and he didn't really lose. He just kind of lost.
Yep.
And it's kind of like when Astro Boy needs to lose to get powered up and come back stronger.
Yep, because then they get that magic naturally aspirated
the
engine.
mid-season power up, by pretending to lose.
That magic engine they put in the AE86, I still just can't get over.
Anyway, the point is, if you really want to, for some reason, read all of the Initial D manga, like I will soon have done.
Yeah.
You can go now and do that.
The thing you got to do, very important, is whenever the cars are driving while you're reading the manga, put some Eurobeat on while you're reading it.
You got to play Eurobeat on the stereo.
Deja vu. I've just been in this place.
Also, those pages, you just flip through them real fast. You can read this manga like in a few minutes.
I mean, half the pages are just cars, cars,
Yes.
cars. Takumi says something, cars. Now there's a whole bunch of drama with
and the art isn't
girlies
anything to
dating or
look at, so
whatever.
you don't need to linger on it.
Yep.
All right. So, in a not so good news, right? There is a person who you may know,
Monkey Punch.
named Monkey Punch, whose real name escapes me, but it's written all over the internet now because sadly, the person known as Monkey Punch has passed away at I could accept this age of 81, I think they said.
81, and
I'll take 81.
From what I've read, dude was really active and happy and like kicking ass as recently as when he was 80.
Yeah, didn't fade away in some sad hospice or anything.
Yep.
But Monkey Punch is the creator of Lupin the Third, and also a really good artist, and also someone who liked a bit of lewdness.
Yeah, but it's a more elegant lewdness from a more
Yes.
civilized age.
But generally, an awesome, amazing dude and artist who created a legendary set of characters that still keep making more Lupin shit even to this day.
Not only that,
even
but
though Lupin is decades old.
there was an era where Lupin specials would come out and they were not great. But
I mean, they weren't always good, but they just keep coming.
But the relatively recent Lupins, basically everything they've made from Fujiko Mine onward is at least B+, A- level Lupin.
Yeah, but it's kind of sad because Monkey Punch made a lot of other stuff that wasn't Lupin, but basically was only known for Lupin. Only Lupin was successful, and basically was in terms of success and making money.
It's like the guy who made Snatch. Nothing he ever made after that or before that will be remembered or anyone care about it. Snatch
Right,
was,
but it's he made Guy Ritchie made other movies that were basically also like Snatch.
Yeah, the problem
you could tell that they were, but the same thing can be said of
To Mix.
any other director. Was a Tim Burton. You can tell a Tim Burton thing when you look at it, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he was making different stuff. But Monkey Punch rode on one thing. Didn't make other Lupinish things that were successful.
Yep.
Right. But yeah, kind of sad, but
Yep.
also, I guess kind of good. People will remember Lupin yet again. Lupin's not going anywhere.
So speaking of which, if you live in New York, there's a theater in Brooklyn called Nighthawk Cinema. And Nighthawk Cinema is a place that serves food. Like, you put your order in when you sit down in your assigned seat or whatever, and then you write your order down.
It's
and
fancy.
And a waitress comes and brings you like booze and fancy food, and it's a full-on movie theater otherwise. Like, you don't even have to pay your check. You just like leave because they just like put it on your credit card. It's fine. It's awesome. But they often show anime there.
They often show lots of things there because you're not gonna just do the dinner movie thing for just like the latest top movie, right? And, they're not gonna pay to get the latest top movie.
But last weekend they did a brunch movie on Saturday where they showed Metropolis, which is a good movie. You should see it.
Not Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
Nope, the anime one.
Yeah,
the anime one that if you don't know why Metropolis the movie was made, then it's probably just confusing, but I digress.
Yeah, Rintaro's Metropolis. I feel like you have to see, before you can watch Metropolis, you have to see Metropolis.
Yeah.
Then you have to read Tezuka's manga Metropolis. Then you have to watch at least one Tezuka anime. It could just be like an episode of Astro Boy or something.
Yep.
And then you got
Then you're finally, like, you're nearly ready.
No, and then you got to see a Rintaro movie, like maybe Galaxy Express or something. And then you can watch Metropolis the movie and understand what the hell's going on.
But this weekend, in a few days, on Saturday at 10:45 a.m., they are screening as a brunch movie Lupin III, The Castle of Cagliostro.
Which might be one of the best Lupin movies.
It's interesting.
It was directed by Miyazaki.
It is the best Lupin movie, with the caveat that it is nothing like any other Lupin.
It is the least Lupinish, but the best at being a movie.
Yep.
But maybe the worst at being Lupinish.
It depends on what color jacket you're talking about.
Yeah, but anyway, and they didn't just schedule this because of the passing of
No,
Monkey
I bought
Punch.
tickets to this a while ago,
Yeah.
but it's not sold out.
I've seen it recently, so I don't really feel like I need to go again.
I have not seen it recently, so if you live in New York and have not seen any Lupin, go to Nighthawk Cinema on Saturday and see The Castle of Cagliostro.
420.
And also, I guess it is. And also, the following Saturday,
Blaze it.
they're showing in the same brunch format Penguin Highway, which we actually
have
haven't
not seen, so maybe that will be the thing that I go,
And then we
depending
can-
on my schedule.
And then we can review that. The only problem is, so Saturday, they always do this Saturday and Sunday, so it is also Sunday. Saturday is always subbed, Sunday is always dubbed.
Oh, no.
So you know what to do.
Oh, so Saturday is subbed?
Saturday subbed.
The 27th, you say?
The 27th.
Oh, my schedule's good.
I think mine's good too.
Yeah,
I think we should do it.
maybe.
Yeah. See some anime.
Penguin Highway plus brunch.
Yeah. But anyway, it's time for... Oh, what was your thing of the day?
The termite commercial.
Oh, yeah. Let me find it.
I sent it to you.
Did you in the Discord?
It's
Yep.
it's already in the Discord anyway, but I sent you again in the Discord.
All right. But anyway, things of the day. What do you got?
So normally I hate commercials and I want to block all ads, right? But there are those occasions where advertisements happen to be made are also works of art, right?
Like Segata Sashiro, as an
Right,
example.
that's a good example. Or various Super Bowl commercials. You get a lot of old school ads. That had really good design and stuff going right. So it's hard to separate that, like block all ads, which you should do in your daily life always, especially on the internet where it can mess up your computer with evil, malicious ads. But also simultaneously recognize the art of ads, right? So here is an ad for, unless we got any listeners in Thailand, shout out. Yeah, that'd be awesome if we had a listener in Thailand. I don't think we do. So which means I don't think anyone listening is very unlikely to be able to buy this product, because I think it is a product. It's definitely not sold in the U.S. I don't know where else it's sold. It's some sort of termite killing spray. And here is a commercial, presumably on television in Thailand, for this termite killing spray. And it is quite long for a commercial. I don't know how long commercials are there usually. It's
2 minutes and 20 seconds,
yeah,
this thing.
it ain't no 30-second spot.
When you see the beginning, you might think, okay, that's why it's funny. But no, the moment where you realize that this is a true work of art is right at a minute and 23 seconds.
Just watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't get bad. It just keeps getting better and better all the way through. It's not like, that's the joke and you can stop watching. Just watch the whole 2 minutes 20. Yep. Don't buy the termite spray unless you got termites, in which case call help.
Yeah.
That's bad. This commercial is magnificent. I wouldn't be, I don't even know because this could be like a fake commercial someone made, but it's so well done and highly produced, right? I feel like someone should make a YouTube channel where they make ads this good for fake products. And that would be, because it's basically like
Wait a minute. I can think of one example of that already.
It's basically a funny YouTube channel.
You may recall, fuck you, Baltimore.
Anyway, watch this ad is great.
So, when I first got into anime, I've told this story on Geek Nights before, but it's very important that it was on the Sci-Fi Channel when I was in 4th grade. They showed some
I'm
anime.
still not. I mean, this keeps coming up. Everyone always wants to know, like, the first anime you saw. No one cares, like, the first book you read or the first movie you saw.
The first big boy book I ever read was The Hobbit. I was real young.
Right, but the point is, people seem to always want to know, like, the first anime you saw that, like, you knew was anime. It's like, I saw Voltron and shit, and then I saw on TV, there was Dragon Ball, there's all this shit on TV.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't tell you what the first anime I saw was. There was something on Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know.
See, but I can because while I may have seen things like Voltron,
Akira, Vampire Hunter D's,
but
Galaxy Express.
I got really into anime when I was in 4th grade, which was a long goddamn time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So in middle school, and even like late elementary school, I was the kid who was like into anime when literally no one else in my city had ever heard of anime.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was getting VHS fan subs, good times. The first anime I saw, as I've talked about a lot, was Vampire Hunter D, which is great because I was a little kid and that probably made me the way I am. But the second anime I ever saw was Project A-ko.
Mm-hmm, because it was on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yep. The dub. Now, at the time, I was so young that while I thought Project A-ko was funny, I did not quite get that it was just a comedy. I kind of treated it like it was a serious superhero story. Mm-hmm. But this YouTube video is the entirety of the original Project A-ko.
Is this a legal YouTube video?
Who even knows?
I don't think it is. What channel is it?
Some lady uploaded in 2016.
Yeah, this seems not legitimate.
It's been up a while.
That's true, but it definitely seems not legitimate.
This is the exact dub, the exact anime, the second anime I ever saw, pretty much in the format that I saw it, complete with...
So not the format I want to see it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I got weirdly nostalgic hearing this dub, like to a degree to where I feel like I'm going to sit down and watch this whole YouTube video.
I'm not doing that
this weekend.
I'm going to spend 2 minutes watching the termite video again.
So, in the meta moment, the Geek Nights Book Club book, the one we're about to read that I'm going to post soon, is a Dungeons and Dragons Planescape branded novel I read when I was young called Pages of Pain.
Yeah, my Subway read books on my phone plan continues once I finish the book I'm reading now, which is going to be done in 20 minutes according to the Kindle app.
Yep.
I'm going to digitally acquire some painful pages. So this book club will be done for me very soon.
Yep.
Unless biking to work makes me read a lot less, because most of the reading happens on the train.
I feel like it will not take us long to read this book.
We'll find out. But, my readings rate is like super high. I'm basically constantly reading book now for like a couple months. It's been going strong.
Yep.
I'm going to continue it for as long as forever.
So beyond that, we don't have any conventions for a while, but I recently uploaded to YouTube the Rare Game Mechanics panel, which was a new one that we did at MagFest. It's just on YouTube. And yesterday, I uploaded the Real Harm of Games, another new panel we just did at PAX East.
Yep, I went to work editing the Judge Anime by its cover spring 2019 season.
There's some good anime coming
I have
up.
almost completed the video editing. Maybe I'll finish that tonight if I got nothing better to do, and upload that biz.
Yeah, so good times ahead on the YouTube channel. Stay tuned for other YouTube content that is not just Geek Nights that we'll be cranking out now that we don't have to prepare for conventions for a while. So I figure we'll get right into it. Adventure Time, we've talked about on Geek Nights before. There's a forum thread about it. Actually, I'm trying to figure out the first time or the last time we talked about Adventure
Well,
Time.
Adventure Time was a thing that, I couldn't escape seeing those characters everywhere, right? In Nerdland, at conventions, at all kinds of places. And I recognized them. And I remember we watched the original Adventure Time pilot thing when it was brand new, right? And
Well, so I'm curious, when do you think that was?
we were living in Beacon, I think.
Yeah, you were correct. The original Adventure Time, like the thing that became Adventure Time, was made by Frederator and debuted on December 7th, 2008.
Right. So we watched that, but I never made the connection between that one-shot pilot thing we watched and the Cartoon Network show that became the thing, right?
In fact, what was funny is I remember that Adventure Time was big in the Comic-Con scene. I
saw it everywhere.
I saw art, I saw people dressing up, but I just kind of ignored it because it seemed like kind of a kid's show and I didn't know a lot about it and I had a lot of other things to watch. So I didn't really think about it.
Yeah, and then so basically a few seasons into Adventure Time, maybe I don't know, 5 or so.
I know the exact moment. It was season 3, episode 10. What was missing? The one with the Door Lord.
Okay.
And the good music. That episode happened. And someone just randomly said, "Oh my God, you got to watch this show. Look at this." And I ended up just seeing the songs.
That does
they
seem
sang.
about right.
So I saw the songs they sang. So this was September 26th.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that YouTube video of that song. That was so good.
Yep. That song is the reason I watched all of Adventure Time. Basically, I saw that song. I was like, whoa, this show is not what I thought it was. Then I watched that whole episode. Whoa, this show is great. And then I just went to episode 1 and binge watched everything I could find as fast as possible.
Yeah, I guess somewhere around that time, I went to episode 1, watched it all, caught up, and then watched episodes kind of mostly as they came out, as I could get them, until sometime around 1 or 2 seasons before the show ended. Maybe the Vampire Stakes part. I watched all of that.
I just kept watching every episode the instant it came out.
I watched some more episodes after that. And then they announced that it was going to end, and I hadn't watched in a few months. I had not kept up on it just out of laziness or doing other stuff. So I said, "Oh, you say the show's going to end? All right, I'm just going to hold off then and let you finish. I'm going to let you finish." And then I figured, okay, I'll figure out where I left off and catch up. But then what ended up happening instead is maybe a month or so ago, Amanda hadn't seen any Adventure Time. So I just went back to the beginning, and it already ended. So I went just from beginning to end, whoosh.
Adventure Time is in the hallowed
and I was
list
a lot
of
closer
shows.
to the end than I thought when I stopped.
It's kind of like Cowboy Bebop in the sense that if I start watching any part of that show, I'll probably just keep watching.
Well, because
it.
the episodes are short, right? Because it's like it's almost like a Looney Tune situation.
Yeah,
where you
10, 11 minutes.
Right,
they're
it's
not long.
they'll have a 30-minute TV block with 2 episodes in it. So they go bam, bam. It's not like there's no time for you to get tired or bored. And then if you set it up if you're pirating it or streaming it or whatever, depending on how you set up your video, you're going to load your videos in, and when we push play in VLC, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes and just doesn't let go of your attention, which makes it a great television show to trap kids in front of the TV watching ads.
So 5 years ago in May, so almost exactly.
Especially when there's no ads, you really get trapped by it.
Yep. Almost exactly 5 years ago, we did a show about Adventure Time and how it was still ongoing and just talking about it at that point. And funnily enough, you know who was on the show as one of our guests? Judith.
Okay.
Who was just, so I guess every 5 years, Judith will be on Geek Nights.
All right, Judith, get ready. 2024. You're on the hook.
Yep. And in 2014, also, in April, so almost exactly 5 years ago, we talked about the Masaki Yuasa episode of Adventure Time, which itself was exactly what you might expect it to be.
Yep.
And I also found
Had
that
no bearing on the plot, though. You can skip it, but
yeah.
That's
It's non-canon.
Right, but that's the thing about Adventure Time is that in addition to its story and characters, which are the number one reasons to watch it, right?
Yep,
is
story, character,
the
music.
the epic plot and the amazing characters and the music, right? Is that also because there's so many episodes over such a breadth of time, it was an avenue for lots of, kooky pop art, experimental art, lots of different styles. It wasn't just like, watching My Little Pony where every episode is drawn the same way by the same people, by the same, studio machine, right? Is there was lots of like, crazy offshoot episodes that have nothing to do with nothing, but are just like this creative outlet for somebody here and there. Right, like there was some CG one, right, where everything was all glitched out.
The best part of that episode is when the princess is just sick of Ice King's shit, and she just pulls out that gun and tries to shoot him.
Right, it wasn't just the Yuasa one. There was the, there was all the episodes with Fiona and Cade, which are right. There were which
ended up becoming canon in quotes,
sort of.
Well, because they are a fictional work within that universe,
right? And then there's the Greybles. Right, which are just sort of like little episodic dealies.
But I guess the important part about all that viz is that even though each episode is very self-contained and very fun and doesn't like they kind of
mostly self-contained.
Well, toward the
end,
some
aren't.
Toward the end of the show, they started having long arcs.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, episodes were largely self-contained, except for there's a couple two-parters here and there.
Yeah, but every episode. The little bits in the background of like things characters do and things people say and like little offhand comments, they all build up to the final full story.
Well, but I mean, there's also some where it's like, yeah, it's a self-contained episode, but if you didn't know, for example, that like King of Wu is currently in charge, during this set of episodes, and it's like that's just like the state of the world changes, and that might throw you off guard if you had missed the episode where the state of the world changed. Like Princess Bubblegum becomes young at one point. It's actually much earlier in the show than I remember, and also very much more brief than I remember that happening. It was very short. But like if you were to watch one of those like handful of episodes where she's young and you're just like, wait, why the fuck is she young, right?
Yep.
It's just like, okay.
Of course, at the same time with Adventure Time, if something weird is in the universe, you kind of just go, huh, all right.
Yep.
Just roll with it.
But and it's much like actually a lot of anime, it has this long continuing plot. It doesn't really repeat stuff or hold your hand very much. So, they're just like throwing out names of stuff. And if you don't know, you don't know. You could get lost. And I don't have the experience of being lost because I watched it from beginning to end straight every time I watched it. But I could imagine how you could get lost because even then, there were some things where I had to like roll back, go to Wikipedia, make sure I remember what I remember, that kind of thing. So if I was watching them randomly on TV, it would have been way worse, especially if I missed some. Oh, God.
So one last very important warning about Adventure Time. And we'll save spoilers for a bit. We're just going to do like a full-on review because it's such an important and long-running show. But in 2013, we talked about something bad. There were some Adventure Time video games, and I just need to impress upon you, they are utter garbage.
There are Adventure Time comics.
They're great.
Well, I have a whole bunch of them.
The ones I've read were great.
Yeah, I haven't read that many of them. I probably should. But they actually did a thing which has been done successfully in the past. I don't know if people know this, but I don't know how many seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer there were on TV. But they basically continued the TV show of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in comic book form. And the comics were like season whatever, like as if they were writing more of the TV show, just straight up. And I'm pretty sure it's just canon. They continued the show, but because they didn't have a TV deal or actors or anything, they just continued it in comics. Same, just right from where the TV show left off. Adventure Time they've done this with other things too, but Buffy's probably the most successful example. They tried to do the same thing with Adventure Time. They were like, Adventure Time season 11 would be the next one, right? Because there were 10 seasons of Adventure Time.
Depending on how you count.
Anyway, I think they called it season 11 or 12. I don't know. It's 10, 11, or 12. I don't know. But they basically like Adventure Time comics season 11 just continued where the show left off in comic form. And then it was abruptly, surprisingly canceled. Apparently no one was buying it, which I was like, hey, you didn't even put out the trade yet. I was going to buy the trade. Then how do you know how not popular it's going to be? But I assume they'll put out a trade because they did put out some issues. So I will get the trade of the issues that were made, which I'm sure will come at some point. And I'll see what the deal was with the continuing, I guess, effectively canon next season of Adventure Time that just wasn't on TV.
Yep.
It was only a comic book.
But I cannot stress enough, the Adventure Time games, unlike the 3DS and the DS, are in no universe worth playing.
Yeah, just about anything with Adventure Time branding on it that isn't, say, high-quality merchandise, the show itself.
Yep, or the comics.
The comics, some of the comics, maybe most of them. is something that's not good.
Yeah, like it is that game. Hey, Ice King, why'd you steal our garbage? Is egregiously bad. I just remembered how bad it was because we spent time talking about how bad it was.
You know the Balloons Tower Defense game that I play?
Yeah.
There is an Adventure Time Balloons Tower Defense, which is
Oh.
basically
Same game with Adventure Time
it's
skin.
the same game, only more microtransaction-y and worse, but with lots of Adventure Time theming on it. Yeah.
So I think Adventure Time is going to be one of the it is going to be a legendary show.
It is.
It is.
Yes.
It will stand the test of time. It is an important show.
I sort of put it there with like a Fist of the North Star or a Sailor Moon as like a show that's got like a shit pile of episodes, but not it's a lot. But it's not some insane amount that you can't watch
It's not
the whole
One
thing.
Piece. It's
Right.
Sailor Moon.
Right. One Piece is too insane and too big. You can't watch it, even though it's probably equally legendary.
I mean, look, there's 283.
Most legendary shows are 26 episodes or less.
There are 283 episodes of Adventure Time, and because they're short, that is less time than watching Sailor Moon, which is
it
200
takes a lot longer to watch
full-length
Fifth and North Star
episodes.
than it does to watch Adventure Time. It's definitely consumable, but still long and epic and big.
But
right?
the thing that I think is the most important about Adventure Time, there are two things I think that really make the show important. One, it used music really well, and I do credit it as being
in their ending, they were like, leaning on the music hard as like, their deal.
I mean,
right?
the music, like we said, the music is what got me to watch the show in the first place.
That's partially true, yes.
And two, I credit Adventure Time as one of the things that caused a lot of kids' cartoons or cartoons like this to start to also, Ponies leaned heavily into the music. Steven Universe leaned into the music. I do think Adventure Time is a big part of that trend. And I approve of that trend.
I agree as well.
Also, the second thing is that the sheer scope, not of the story at Adventure Time, though it is big, but the scope of what the show was. Like, season by season, episode by episode, you almost don't notice it if you just watch it sequentially. But the show goes in a lot of different directions and covers a lot of surprising ground.
Right, well, I think part of what it is because the show went on so long and had a continuous plot, even if it wasn't necessarily perfectly serial,
Yep.
is that it was on Cartoon Network aimed at children, is that the children watching the show from the beginning were like 10 plus years older when the show ended.
Like kids were about Finn's age
Right.
watching the show.
So-
Finn aged in real time and aged alongside them.
So unlike some sort of episodic thing, like say a Looney Tune, where you watch it when you're young and then it's episodic, so you can just sort of grow out of it and move on to something else, right? You were sticking with Adventure Time as you grew up, and it grew up with you. So even though I was already grown up when I started, it's plain to see how a certain generation grew up with Adventure Time side by side. And
But the show grew up itself.
Yes, the show did not attempt to like stay at its like keep aiming at the original age group that it was aimed at. It grew along and it said, okay, it's a year later. We started with a show for 10-year-olds. Now we're a show for 11-year-olds. The next year they're like, okay, now we're a show for 12-year-olds or whatever it was.
What I'd always been kind of hoping would happen, but it's probably fine they didn't because the ending was great. But I was kind of hoping the show would just keep going, and then like 30 years from now, Finn's just 40. Like I would have kept watching if they did that. But not to spoil yet, but the ending was perfect, and I cannot think of
it was a excellent ending. But the thing was, I feel like the lead up to the ending could have been a little stretched out a little more.
The episode, the series, the little arcs they used to lead up to the ending felt a little rushed. Like stakes and all those stories, elements that they did before the end. Like they all should have been about twice as long. That's the only complaint I have.
Because the main plot is over the course of is over such a long period of time, and like that feels like the pace of the show. Like introduce the Lich, season or two later, fight the Lich. Right? It's like that make the epicness of stretching those lines out. Right?
Yep.
Whereas then at the end, it's like introduce the evil Gum family.
Well,
and it's like a few
introduce
episodes.
the elements. Okay, now we dealt with the elements. It's just like bam, bam, bam. Like they knew they had to end the show because there was a physical money deadline to finish the show.
The pace of the show accelerates in the last season or two quite dramatically, and that's it takes away a little bit from the epicness that the rest of the show prior to then had.
Islands, I think, had a good pace.
Islands was definitely after Islands is when the pace got too fast.
Yep. But also,
the
Islands.
pace of the placing and pacing of the Islands part was like perfect, and after that is when things got a little.
I really like the Islands part.
The
I
Islands
think
part
of,
was
of
good.
all the like mini arcs, that's probably the best one. Stakes, if it had been a little longer, because I like the real talk that happened in Stakes. But the show just went on for so long, and it ended, and it was kind of a loss for a show that I had watched for so long to end.
It is. But on the other hand, I kind of like it when I like endings because endings are epic and awesome.
But I guess there's a difference for me.
I can always rewatch it.
There's a visceral difference for me.
I know I'll get more out of it if I watch it again and again.
There's a visceral difference for me between a show that had aired and finished before I watched. Like Sailor Moon, I was just like, I'm going to watch all of Sailor Moon this weekend. And I watched all of Sailor Moon.
In one weekend?
Well, I'm starting with S because I'd already seen up through R.
Okay.
So we watched S, Super S, Stars over the course of a ridiculous 3-day weekend. That was all in high school.
The point is, ending is good because it frees me up to do something else.
But I was pretty much, once I saw that What Was Missing episode, I just watched Adventure Time as it came out, like all the way to the end. I never stopped. I never paused. I don't want to get into how the season numbers were all fucked up, depending on if you watch on like Amazon or like
the numbers don't matter as long as you're watching all the episodes in the right order.
I think what happened though, like it's interesting that Adventure Time as a show spanned the television era, the early internet era, and the current internet era of how you get TV shows, which is part of the reason why I think the end got a little rushed and it was hard to watch unless you had TV. Like the show spanned 3 distinct eras of the monetization of television shows. And that is an interesting thing that I'm sure will be studied in universities in years to come. Because there aren't many shows that have done that.
Yeah, even though other shows like, say, Flintstones went on for long. I'm pretty sure it went on for longer than Adventure Time.
The world of TV
Simpsons
didn't change. It was just like ad-supported broadcast television.
Right, but if you want to look for examples, I mean, you can't beat Simpsons.
Yeah.
Or even South Park, right? It's still bigger than, in
But The
terms of-
Simpsons went from traditional show with traditional format to still a traditional show with a traditional format, still supported by ads on like Hulu. Adventure Time started as a Frederator, let's make something cool, became a non-traditional television show that then had to be monetized in a non-traditional way instead of just becoming a Hulu show. It was in a weird situation as a result. It also had an A+ voice cast. Like the writing was great. Everything about the show was great. I say past this point, we're going to assume you saw the show all the way to the end so we can talk about specific moments, specific things, the end itself. So,
well, the number one crime in all Adventure Time that
spoilers ahead,
upset me very greatly is that having watched all of it, every single episode, very recently, fresh in the mind, right? My favorite character, Choose Goose, does not appear
as often,
nearly as much as deserved, right? And that is a crime against humanity. I demand the Choose Goose spinoff that is all Choose Goose all the time.
I would watch that. I would 100%
Normally, when
watch
people
that.
ask for that stuff, like, I want Cowgirl Edna, and it's like, no, let's not go there. But no, I want Choose Goose.
Yep.
Give me all the Choose Goose you got.
But in terms of the ending and the story and the plot, the show was primarily about the characters, and the world building happening around them was just interesting. And then bit by bit, it started to morph into, let's actually follow this plot. And I think I like the fact that the plot itself ended up being a sort of Lovecraftian, there is a terrible secret of space, and Earth is a tiny speck with tiny humans, and the cosmic scale of nonsense, and the people in Adventure Time interact with that cosmic nonsense in the way that tiny people on a tiny planet could. I like that.
Well, it's
There's gods out there and civilizations on Mars.
Right. Well, it's a lot like a Marvel Universe situation,
Yeah.
right? You read any Marvel comics, right? And it's like, okay, you've got real small level stories, right? You know, like a single superhero dealing with their bullshit, like Spider-Man having problems in high school.
Yep, like Finn's
Then
a superhero.
Then you got your New York story. So in Adventure Time, that would be like the Ooh level story, like something is threatening Ooh, right? The land of Ooh, there's trouble in Ooh. Right? Then you've got like bigger stuff, right? Okay, Magneto is threatening the Earth, right? Something is happening that's threatening the Ice Kingdom and the Candy Kingdom and the Fire Kingdom and the right.
Yep.
Something bigger is threatening the whole planet. Right.
Then you got
then
the
you got
Lich.
your cosmic, Infinity Gauntlet shit with your Lich and your Glob and your King of Mars and your all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Right. And he's like, you're telling stories on all the levels, right, of epicness that weave in and out of each other, the same but your main characters are always the focus, right? So even though Infinity Gauntlet Marvel Comics, guess what? There's Captain America and Spider-Man right there at the front. that stupid high school kid is dealing with right, and there it is. There's stupid Finn, that kid who lives in a tree, dealing with Glob, right? The god of the solar system, basically.
Which probably just started as they wanted to say, oh my God, but it's a kid's show, so they would say stuff instead of poop, and they would say glob instead of God.
It's interesting because having watched the whole thing recently, again, I'll keep bringing that up. So I've heard some people say in the past, oh, the first season of Adventure Time has like a different feel, right? It doesn't get epic in story things until
It's all
later.
there, though.
No, everything is there from the beginning. That's complete horseshit.
The only question
right?
is, some of it might have been throwaway things that were just jokes,
right?
That they went back in mind.
It is hard to tell without interviewing someone, which it's probably a mixture, right? Which things were planned and written from the beginning to the end, and which things were simply masterfully taken from older episodes by writers and then given new life and meaning in later episodes. Like, oh yeah, that was that one-off character you just wrote into that scene. Well, now I've written a whole episode about that character, and if you watch, it feels like that was done on purpose, right? And it's like almost the main plot is like, yeah, they're on this land of Ooh, which is a post-apocalyptic Earth, right? Where in the past was a society similar to ours with cars and buildings and planes. And
I
everything.
love all the just little hints about this over the course of the show.
But it's like in episode 1, in the intro, it's like, yeah, there's like busted up modern junk, just like in the woods, and it's like, did they just draw busted up modern junk in the woods by accident and then decide the course of the whole plot based on that? Or no, it was on purpose, right? And they were wise enough to drop that stuff, and leave it everywhere, even when it wasn't the focus, because it was rarely the focus.
Yep. But also, I like the fact that the Lich was effectively a Cthulhu, like the priest of some great cosmic evil.
Yep.
Like, that worked really well. I especially like how Magic Man comes back and just like, yeah, we dunked up. Mm-hmm. And then Golb appears.
Well, I wish that they had, that's part of the ending that with the rushedness.
Yeah,
is that they didn't spend the time to, it's like, okay, I know all the terrible secret of space I'm gonna know, but I really like to see all the details. Like what exactly happened there?
The show pulled an Evangelion on you for that because the actual end of the show is Bimo, the new king of Ooh. There's that moment where the new character is like, so what happened then? And he's like, they kept living their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Goodbye. Leave my house.
Yep.
Like, the whole point is that a long-running show has to end. And stories don't have to end at, like, the end of time or the end of the universe. You don't need the show that takes you through the next 80 years of, like, I don't know.
No, I'm not. But I'm saying the part that you did cover, right? It's like you didn't show me what Normal Man and Betty and the witch did.
Maja?
Yeah, how did they donk that up?
I'm glad we didn't see it because it's funnier that they cut like when Jake farts. It's funnier when they come in and they're like, yeah, we fucked up.
Yeah, I mean that was
we tried something.
It was a funny joke, but you could have still
especially because Maja wakes up and then just instantly explodes.
Well, it's like because I really did care about Gobgrad, who's I guess still a bunch of heads floating in around the planet.
Yeah.
I cared about them a lot.
Well, I'm on a wiki here that has every reference.
I really wanted to know their deal, but we really didn't get too much about Golb, it was just sort of like, oh yeah, Golb, big bad guy
So-
and then we didn't learn enough to make me care enough about Golb.
Well, I think we know enough. You know what Golb is? Well, all we need to know, he is a cosmic evil
Yes.
beyond comprehension.
even worse than Orglord.
Like, don't, just hope it never looks at you. It's like a black hole coming through your galaxy.
I'm aware of that, but it's like a really,
So the first, you know where Gold,
from?
you know where Gold first appears?
Mm.
In the episode where Finn becomes a pillow.
Okay.
Gold is in that episode.
Where?
When Finn dies in Pillow World, and remember there's that scene where he like warps through space-time back to his body?
Okay.
He passes Gold.
Uh-huh.
They put him there. He actually bounces off of Gold.
Whoa.
So Finn coming back from that universe might be what attracted Golb's attention back to Earth.
Maybe.
He's mentioned again in the one of the Magic Man episodes where Betty, I'm reading from the wiki here. Betty witnesses a memory of him and Grob, Gob, Glob, Grod discussing Golb at some point in the past. There's like this flashback because Margles was taken by Golb, and that's why
right.
Magic Man was mad because
Right.
Mars is like the advanced space society that is more capable.
Well, Mars basically the people of Mars because they're they have Abraham Lincoln, King of Mars.
They're like a
and
more
they ha-
advanced
and-
society.
And Gob basically lives there as their leader also, and normal / Magic Man also lived there.
Yeah, like Mars
It's
society
Like, that is a society that was connected with like what's going on in the universe. Right? Sort of like a Foundation situation.
Yep.
Right? Where it's like, oh, that society basically doesn't have interstellar travel yet. They're sort of like just like an ant colony is to us.
Well, like, look, the
right?
people of Ooh could fight the Lich. The Mars people were the ones who could fight something like Orgalorg.
Yep.
And then Golb is just
Right.
beyond
Well,
everything.
I mean, the first time Orgalord came in the past, Gob just basically took a sword and swacked him.
Yep.
And turned him into Gunther just by whacking him. That's how strong Gob is. Right? Gob is, he is God to the people of Ooh, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, but to the people of Mars, he's just a dude with four heads.
Well, see also Prismo and the Cosmic Owl.
or
like
four,
these are
or four dudes.
Prismo and the Cosmic Owl and all these entities are just gods out there doing their thing.
Right.
But I like how they're all framed as themselves being mundane, just on a different scale.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Prismo's just hanging out with the Cosmic Owl. The Cosmic Owl's not that smart.
No, he's not. Cosmic Owl's got issues.
But when he's first presented, he is like
Woo.
this supremely spiritual, important being to the people of Ooh,
Yep.
with their whole thing about the Croak dreams.
Right, but meanwhile, on Ooh, the only people, like, even the people on Ooh who've been alive for a very, very long time, like, say, Marceline
Yep.
or Princess Bubblegum.
Well, that's the final plot.
They
of
don't
the-
know what's up. Only Billy on Earth really knows what's all that stuff.
And Billy might have gone insane, and retired partly because he knew these things.
Yeah, probably.
Like, Billy was too powerful. Also, it is implied heavily that Billy is part of an ancient race that was way more powerful than anything that came on Earth since.
Yep.
Because remember when
Almost
what's
like
her-
a dinosaur that didn't become extinct.
Well, because when what's her name, the other Nereid or whoever, the girl who was Canyon.
Billy's girlfriend.
Yeah, Billy's girlfriend. She clearly is terrifyingly powerful.
Yes.
And I liked how her and Finn just kind of hung out. Like, that was a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this show was good. I feel like we could talk about it for hours.
Well, there's so much show.
Yeah.
When we do an episode, we made a video show about a single episode of Utena, and our video show is longer than that single episode of Utena. And now you want to talk about a 10, 11
Yup.
season show.
I feel
and-
like I have between 5 and 25 minutes of things to say about every single episode of Adventure Time.
Right, every single character, every single, right,
All right, let's get the fun. Who's your favorite character? Like, you really
Choose
had
Goose.
to choose Goose?
Yeah. Why wouldn't it be Choose Goose?
Yeah, it's tough because on one hand,
There's a lot of great characters. You got,
Yeah.
especially, and as always, right, I end up liking side characters more than main characters.
I really like Huntress Wizard. Like, I'm
I
glad
like-
they just threw her in a lot at the end.
Huntress Wizard is cool. Not as cool as Peppermint Butler.
Oh, I love how fucking evil Peppermint Butler is. But also how at the end of the show, like, there were consequences of that fight. Like, that little tiny scene of Peppermint Butler, like, they couldn't fix him. They're just raising him again.
Yeah.
But they're raising him to be evil again, because why not?
Well, I think he's just right. Well, that's one of the main themes of the show is that in every different universe, you see the same people over and over again.
And only Marceline and the space people ever know, like, the cycle.
Right.
And
But
Marceline only knows it
but
because
also even in the same timeline, the same things repeat themselves, right? Those two characters that go to visit BMO in the final episode are
Become
basically
Finn and Jake.
They're like a Finn and Jake of their time, right?
Yep,
So
because that world is clearly post-apocalyptic to the world that we
right.
knew from
the
Ooh.
elements, right, are the except for one of them, the other three are like, oh yeah, the same people keep getting reborn.
But look at that the
and
cycle.
that's also why you don't need to see, oh, they live the rest of their lives, because it's just a cycle of the same shit in every timeline and in every universe.
But look
the
at
same
all these
things happening over and over again.
Look at the cycles.
Crooks slightly so.
The characters who break the cycle are all themselves broken in some way. Marceline, being immortal, also never grew and couldn't change, and that was the whole plot of Stakes. Of she had to experience that cycle to understand herself. The Lich is an entity that's trying to end the cycle forever, so he's all messed up.
Well, that's why, and the exact opposite of the Lich is Prismo, who is basically the cycle, right?
Yep.
Whereas, there's a sleepy guy who's dreaming of Prismo. He gets woken up, Prismo goes away, and then a past Prismo pulls a trick to make a sleepy Jake that is then dreaming of Prismo, and then Prismo's there again, and there's a
Yep.
sleepy Jake there for all eternity. And it's like that cycle there that happens in that 1 or 2 episodes, that thing where Prismo goes away and comes back is, I guess, the cosmic loop that holds all the other cosmic loops in the canon.
And you see the same thing with what's her name?
If Prismo had failed at that mission, then it probably would have been it.
What, Pym, the ice elemental, instead of dying like she should in the cycle, she just never changes, is trapped. Basically, she's trapped herself. She'll wake up, and anytime she wakes up, nothing will be different or better, and she's basically destroyed herself by being outside of the cycle. And then you've got things like Gold that are themselves outside of the cycle, because that's terrifying secret of space. Incomprehensible nonsense.
Yeah, I wonder, it's like, there was a Lich in every different universe, right, that we went to, right? Like the weird one that with quaint country time Finn, right? And the bandit dudes or whatever, right? There was a Lich there who wasn't the exact same Lich as the other one, right?
But then you see
It was just-
characters in the cycle breaking the negative aspect of their cycle, like Sweet Pea, who is just good in the end. He's like, nope, I'm not going to be like you, Lich. Fuck you.
Yeah, Sweet Pea's awesome. Especially,
Sweet Pea's the next
Did you
villain.
notice the very end, very
Yeah.
end of the show, there's a giant Sweet Pea
Yup.
walking past the BMO mountain.
Yup.
Like enormous, bigger than, I think that might be the giantest thing. Like as big as Sweet Pea was there, was bigger than Golb was.
Yup.
Real big.
I just love that moment where Sweet Pea 1 scares the shit out of that evil squirrel in The King of Ooh, because they are the worst characters in the show.
Right. I think the most... The thing that really I feel needed more tying up, or
Other
maybe
than Choose Goose?
or maybe was appropriately not tied up, was Tree Trunks, because Tree Trunks is so. She's there from the beginning.
So
super
there's some stuff I
beginning.
noticed. They hinted at things in the old flashback episodes with the original elementals that we see. There's those weird tree trunks looking beings.
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
She is ancient, and basically, as best I can tell, it's like a magic elf who gave up on all the weird magic elf stuff and just wanted to be perverted forever.
Yeah, it's like because Tree Trunks spans the cosmic and the mundane in this crazy, weird, fucked up way, and it's sometimes she's just insane, and sometimes she's super lucid and knows everything.
I mean, she has relationships with aliens and knows about aliens and doesn't care that much.
the pig guy,
Yeah.
he cares a lot.
Then
But she goes into the woods and deals with crystal whatnot craziness.
Yup.
But also just makes a pie. That's delicious.
But I love the way all these different characters and how they interact with this cosmic cycle are threaded together. God damn, this show was good. I got a little choked up at the very end just because I saw it coming. As soon as it was wrapping up and they start walking back, I knew the way the show had gone, the last moment was going to be the theme song. But that montage.
Well, that was the name of the last episode. But is the name of the first episode Adventure Time?
I think so.
Or Come Grab Your Friends or something?
Yeah.
And I guess the name of the last episode is, Come Along With Me.
But the fact that they did it, they did the perfect ending of the final scene is just the song that has ended the show that you watched for a decade.
Well, it's good because they didn't do an Utena where it's there's horses all the time. We never see the horses.
Yep.
This is B. Oh, we're gonna. All right, we'll put the B at the end.
I just imagine to this day, damn it, Dwayne is wherever he is, and he's in a crazy room filled with pictures of those horses, trying to figure out where they happened.
I like how they
Nutella.
hide a snail. I don't know if they hide a snail in every episode, but it's
99% of the episodes.
but the thing is, I feel like I only saw the snail in like half the episodes. So I'm always like, did they really put one all the time? Because I feel like I noticed it a lot. I'm really good at noticing the snail.
Well, the fact that the snail is the only reason the lich even gets out
I know,
was
right?
A plus.
Yep. It's like it's not just a hidden snail; it's a plot snail.
Yeah. But just it's heavy and good the way that like Marceline's arc and stakes in particular.
I'm sure there's a website that says every time the snail is an adventure.
Because like the
time, but
snail
it's
busts
good.
that out, and like there's all these breaking the cycles. Just the fact that there's those little moments of the handful of characters who live long enough to see the cycle repeat even a little bit, they get Bilbo'd. Like they're different.
Yeah, so one of my favorite episodes is actually an episode that doesn't matter for the plot really at all. Is the Infinity Train one?
Oh, I like that one a lot.
Because it has
AKA why you shouldn't play MMOs.
Yes, exactly. Because it has this strong message, right, of don't play MMOs, right? But also, it's actually pretty cool fighting all these monsters,
Yeah.
having a cool train in the woods.
But you gotta know when to stop.
Right. But it also has, this sort of greater message, right, where it's like Finn sees that like Jake's been following him forever, right? And he's like, oh, my friend is maybe more important than this serotonin loop,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
I think my favorite episode is What Was Missing with the Door Lord.
That's a real good one.
But my second favorite episode is The Hall of Egress.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Because that episode feels a lot like Donjon, the comic. Like that kind of thing. That sort of existential, surreal experience. That episode really stands out among the great episodes of Adventure Time as being my favorite. I'm sure there's one I like that I'm forgetting, though, just scrolling through. There are a lot of freaking episodes here.
Yeah, there's tons of way A+ episodes.
Yep. I think we'll just leave it there because as much as I would love to.
I gotta go eat dinner.
Yeah. We are not going to make GeekNights Presents Adventure Time because that would be harder. That would take
I'm
more.
sure other people are doing things like that. There's plenty of it. You don't need us.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. If somehow GeekNights makes me enough money to where I never have to work again, I will make that.
All right, you're on your own.
Yeah. Come along, Scott. You know you want to.
No, I don't. I have no desire whatsoever.